Okay, welcome back to the section 6 of geometry. This is complementary and supplementary angles. And so what I want to talk about is doing some proofs with these. And first we need to talk about a couple theorems that we have. And what that says is that we have this first one. It says congruent complements theorem. So if two angles are complements of the same angle or of congruent angles, then those two angles are congruent. So it's kind of like the transitive property, okay? So it says that if angle 1 and 2 are complements and angle 3 and 2 are complements, because angle 1 complements angle 2 and angle 3 complements angle 2, that means that angle 1 and angle 3 have to be congruent. So it's like the transitive property. And then you have, another one where it says if angle 4 and angle 5 are complements, and angle 6 and 7 are complements, okay, then if you know that angle 5 and angle 6 are congruent, then you conclude that angle 4 and angle 7 are congruent, okay? So it's kind of like this. Let's say that angle 1 is, and I'm just going to zoom in here, let's just say that angle 1 is, say, 30 degrees, okay? Then, its complement, in order to be a complement, has to add up to 90, so I'll call this 60 degrees, okay? So, and if you also know that angle 2 is complementary to angle 3, meaning that these two add up to 90, then if this is 60, then this has to be 30, okay? So you guys you understand the idea, but then you just know that these are congruent, okay? All right, and so then same thing here. Let's say that angle 5 and angle 6 are both, let's just use 60 degrees again, okay? All right, then that means that their complements would have to be 30 degrees, okay? Would have to be 30 degrees. And again, these two are congruent, all right? That's the idea. Okay, same thing can be said about supplements. All right, same idea. So if, let's say, angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, okay, angle 3 and angle 2 are also supplementary, then angle 1 has to be congruent to angle 3. So let's just call this 120 degrees. So that means that in order for these to be supplementary, they have to add up to 180. So I'm going to call this 60 degrees and call this 60 degrees. All right. And so if these two are supplementary and these two are supplementary, then angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent. Okay. Same thing over here. If, angle 4 and angle 5 are supplementary, angle 6 and 7 are supplementary, and these two are congruent, then 4 and 7 are congruent. So I'm going to call this 120. All right, so then that means that this is also 120 degrees. That means that this angle here is 60 degrees. Then this would have to be 60 degrees. Therefore, these two are congruent. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's apply these and see what we can do here. So what you have is that you have, given that angle 1 and angle 2 are complements, okay, and angle 3 and angle 4 are complements, and that angle 2 and angle 4 are congruent, we need to prove that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. So let's just do a quick T-chart, and let's write out our statements and our reasons. First statement we've got is angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. I'll just abbreviate it with comp, and that's given. Okay. We know that angle 3 and angle 4 are complementary. All right. Again, that's also given. And then the third statement we can say is that angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. All right, and that's also given. So the thing that we can conclude from this, based off of what we have up here, and this picture follows the same thing that you have right here. Okay, that angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. These are complementary. We have another set of complementary angles. Therefore, we have to conclude that the ones that angle 2 and angle 4 are congruent. Therefore, angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent. So I'm just going to put that as my fourth reason. That's the conclusion that we can make. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, okay? And the reason why I can say that is because of the congruent complements theorem, all right? And I'm going to abbreviate that with congruent complements theorem. All right. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, it's kind of the same thing, okay? Angle 1 and angle 2 are supplements. Angle 3 and angle 4 are supplements. Okay, angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. Let's label that as these are congruent. Therefore, angle 2 and angle 3 would have to be congruent, and that's by the congruent supplements theorem. But let's write this out in proof format. All right, and I'm going to zoom in even further here. Okay, write this out. We have statements. We have reasons. Okay, the first statement I have is that 1 and 2 are supplements. So angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. Okay, the second statement we can say is that angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary. Okay, and then angle 1 and angle 4 are congruent. Or let's just write angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. Okay, and all three of these reasons that we can write that is because they're given to us. Okay. All right, so then, all right, what we can conclude from all of this information, all right, saying that these two are supplementary, these two are supplementary, these two angles are congruent, therefore these two angles have to be congruent. So we can conclude now, our last statement is that angle 2 is congruent to angle 3, and the reason why we can say that is because of the congruent supplements theorem. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, and it says that the next one, okay, angle 4 and angle 5 are complements. Okay, so that means that these two angles add up to 90 degrees. So I'm actually going to come in here, because I know that they're complementary, I know that this angle here is 90 degrees, okay? And I know that angle 1 and angle 5 are complements. So because angle 1 and angle 5 are complements, let's think about what we can conclude from this. So if angle 1 and angle 5 are complements, meaning that if I take angle 1 plus angle 5, that's going to give me 90 degrees, okay? Therefore, it's wanting to know which angle is congruent to angle 4, okay? Now, 4 and 5 are complementary. 1 and 5 are complementary. The common one is 5, so I know that angle 4, okay, so here's what I've got. I'm also going to write this. Angle 4 plus angle 5 is also 90 degrees. Okay, so what can we say about angle 1 and angle 4? They are congruent, so that's the answer. Okay. Okay, this is the next page in the section 6 part 2 notes. Let's go ahead and do this flow chart proof here. And so here's what we've got. We've got that angle 1 and angle 2 are supplements. Okay, that's given here. Angle 1 and 4 are supplements, okay, that's given here, and then that the measure of angle 2 is 73 degrees. So we want to prove that the measure of angle 4 is 73 degrees, okay? So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to say that this is given, okay? And so what we know is that, angle 1 and 2 are supplements, okay, meaning they add up to 180. And I know that angle 1 and 4 are also supplements. That's given to us. They also add up to 180. So what we can conclude is that angle 2, and let me zoom in and write this, angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. Okay, the reason why I know that, that's the congruent supplements theorem. So congruent supplements theorem. Okay. Now, what I know, is that angle 2 is 73 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to call this angle here 73 degrees. And so what I know now is that angle 2 and angle 4 are congruent by the congruent supplements theorem. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to put a congruent symbol here and a congruent symbol here. Therefore, okay, because angle 2, measure of angle 2, 73 degrees, I'm going to substitute that in down here, and I'm going to say that 73 degrees is equal to the measure of angle 4, okay? And that's just substitution, okay? All right, let's take a look at the next one, okay? So we have a paragraph proof here, okay? This is the last one. And what I know is that we were given that angle 1 and angle 2 are complements, okay? I know that angle 2 and angle 3 are complements, okay? So what I have, I'm going to come in here, all right? Angle 1 and angle 2 are complements, okay? These two added up give you 90. These two added up give you 90. Therefore, I can conclude that angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent by the congruent complements theorem, all right? And so then what we want to do is we want to complete, okay, and also it tells us that this is 35 degrees, okay? If we already know that they're congruent, then I know that this is congruent, that that's 35, okay? So let's just put that into words, okay? It says complete the missing parts of the paragraph proof. So by the congruent complements, so congruent complements theorem, okay, we know that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Okay, we've established that. We wrote that down. We drew the picture. The measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3 by definition of congruent angles. Okay. Then, using the substitution property, okay, because I just replace it, substitution, the measure of angle 3 is 35 degrees. Okay, and that's it. All right, hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully you got something out of it. I know these are kind of tricky, but we just have to have, think about our logic and then, go from there. So I hope all is well, and we'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.